Okay, second part now.
Okay.
Ja.
Dat komt in choose this beer again. So I will mention two new front ends for Neovim. They're still pretty experimental, but I'm really impressed by them, and they have really cool logos too. This is the veonim logo, and here's a screenshot of it. They're getting very sophisticated now because in the last 6 months in the last 3 months we merged some features that we've been working on for years. Externalized messages, externalized grids, so you can have external UIs that are external to Neovim can manage their own grids of windows, and they can have so they're not constrained by the layout that is just normally shown by the Neovim editor itself. And this UI is taking advantage of those features very aggressively. And it also has Nyan-Cat. I think you guys were talking about that earlier.
Yay!
How does embedding Neovim work? Is it the host application embeds a terminal, or?
Nope. No. Actually, even the built-in UI that you see right here in this application, it's not. It does not. There's no. The screen that is built logically in the Neovim UI subsystem doesn't know anything about a terminal. And so what I mean by that is that if you go to tui.c, which is this 2,000 line file, implements the entire Neovim UI, and for a terminal. It's the built-in UI, which just it outputs to a terminal and it receives terminal commands. But the screens, the layout, the highlighting, all that stuff is done on a separate thread, which is the main thread. So all the highlighting and screen layout and stuff, which is done in screen.c on the main thread. It emits events, and those events are the same events that are consumed by GUIs like veonim and oni2 and all the other thing. Those same events are consumed by tui.c. And tui.c does the dirty work of emitting the right terminal sequences so that things look how you would expect in a terminal.
And how similar is that to Vim? Is this like a complete device?
It's completely different. This is pretty much the main, I would say this is the main killer feature of Neovim that I think that Vim probably will never be interested in moving in that direction, because it's a deep architectural change. It's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't really mesh with the goals of Vim from what I've seen historically, and based on what Graham has said personally. The way that, for example, that gvim, the Vim GUI, is implemented is that it translates terminal sequences into GUI widgets. It's kind of the opposite. Vim is terminal first and GUI second, whereas Neovim is UI first, and the UIs are clients of the Vim server. And actually, for the Google Summer of Code project that we have this year, we did the first one last year. We're doing it again this year, and this year the most popular project is this TUI client, which will add support for in the built-in terminal UI for Neovim. They will be able to connect to remote NVIM servers. And most of like the core components to do this are already there. It's just sort of like the remaining step is connecting to a server. I mean, the ability to connect to a server already exists, but getting the built-in UI to connect to a server and then receive message pack events, that part isn't done.
What's the use case for this? Is this to allow people to collaboratively?
Yeah, it's, you know.
What he says. Yeah, exactly that.
You could also do that with screen and multiple passwords.
Yeah, well, through different ways you could connect and be collaborative on one buffer, let's say. Well, I'm really looking forward to a new way that is stable on collaborative editing, as we had with TextPad. You know, these web versions.
TextPad is gone.
Huh?
TextPad is gone.
TextPad is gone, everything's gone somehow. But it's all working on Node.js, and basically from a different view, me having my little server for workshops, having everything, including text pads. Node.js was always the killer for the server. In a sense, it kills the server. Seriously. So it's gone, and I'm very unhappy about it because I want people to have the idea of working on the same thing at the same time.
Something like Etherpath?
Well, that's exactly what you're talking about, and it's kind of dead. Exactly that is on Node.js and other stuff which just simply breaks down. So you can watch with about 30 to 40 people, and you can have maybe a dozen people working at the same time, but then boom, and then it kicks everybody out, and then it has difficulties reattaching to the whole thing, and it simply becomes useless. So that's gone. I mean, I do not expect this to be used for 1,000 people to edit, no. But if it's stable up to, say, a magic number 23, I'm happy.
If you're really interested in collaborative editing, then I mean, this is probably the best starting point. I mean, this is built around CRDTs, which is like this data structure for resolving edit conflicts at a very high granularity. This is very much out of scope for Neovim. I mean, the only future that Neovim has for this use case is if, like, somehow someone put Neovim together with the Chi editor core somehow. I don't know. I haven't looked very closely at it, but yeah. So for collaborative editing, I don't think that remote attachment of the Neovim 2e is going to achieve anything beyond what you can already do with tmux. It'll probably be roughly equivalent to tmux.
If every client has its own context that they can really edit independently, then...
Well, yeah, but independent cursors is much more complicated than just, you know, showing different views of the same editor state, but you still always only have one cursor, that's the primary cursor. So like you could maybe hack it by, you know, switching back and forth the cursor, but like, so like if someone's typing, if someone's idling, then the other person can type or something. That could work, and I think that's how Flubits probably works, right? You know Flubits?
Thank you for saying no. I don't either. So
Flubits is this company that added integration for all various editors.
Ah, this one, okay, yeah.
They have like some proprietary backend server, and then they have, you know, plugins for all these editors, including Neovim.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how they support it.
I think
Just hide the
I think
name.
it's because I zoomed in. There we go. This looks terrible though. I don't know. I don't know why they chose that green screenshot.
Directly after
Yeah.
emails.
I mean, come on. So I'll just demo quickly.
So what is the main use case for remote attach?
I have no idea really. I haven't really thought that much about it. All I know is that
Come on.
here's why it's worth doing. It's low hanging fruit, and it will make the remote attachment scenario. It will bring it to the forefront of like our priorities, because this is something that people ask for quite frequently, and it will. When we do these things that are sort of like low-hanging fruit that drive other architectural improvements, lots of other good stuff tends to fall out of it. You know, it's not like we're building like some huge complicated edifice for this ridiculous goal that has no bearing on the rest of the project. Doing remote attachment is low-hanging fruit. The components are already there. So whatever we have to do to get there is just like housekeeping that probably should be done anyways, and it'll just sort of guide us along those housekeeping tasks. But also, I mean, there are use cases. I mean, for example,
Cut!
it's like an alternative to, I guess, SSHFS or you know, NetRW style remote editing. I have to think about
I
that.
keep wondering, well, we once had this report that VI was having a backdoor or something because it allowed shell access. Haha. So, but I keep wondering about this when we actually use this. Hello there, stranger. So when we use this, we get into all kinds of trouble with the, let's say, substitution command, global commands, folding, shell access, and somebody just switching tap stop, whatever.
Text editors are completely insecure. I mean, they're in the realm of, you know, they're in the wild west realm. There's very little thought put into, you know, security engineering. I mean, like when I read about the lengths that, you know, FreeBSD people have to go to, or the PostgreSQL people, or those services are running as root, but text editors should not be running as root. If you're running a text editor as root, then yeah, you got a problem. It's not secure. That's all there is to it. But that being said, I mean, we do what we can. We run Clang scan build, we run Coverity, we run PVS Studio. I haven't seen any other open source project running this static analyzer. We run this, and we pay attention to the bugs that it reports, and we
It's
fix.
not open source.
No, it's not open source. I mean, but they have a scheme that allows open source projects to use them without a license. So and I think one other tool. So we run like 5 or 6 static analyzers along the code, and we fix what it tells us. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's probably all kinds of holes. It's a system built with C. There's 300,000 lines of C code. Built by people in their free time. I don't know. It's not gonna be. But we follow good hygiene. We lint. We have a very strict linter. I mean, we have good coding conventions, and most of the people that are committing have a clue about what they're doing. So I don't know. And when people do report security problems, then we fix them. So I don't know what else we can do. But there's definitely there's not the resources for it to be secure. So it's not a secure system, and I would never pretend that it is. So a new option. So there's this old option called wildoptions. Whoops. and it only, before it only had this option called tag file, which is actually nice. I recently enabled this. It should probably be a default. I didn't really know about it before. But we also added a new option called PUM, which makes a pop-up menu in your wild menu. See that?
Is this the one that was merged like last week? Or?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I actually have to say that this is much more useful than I thought it would be. Because I mean, if you're using horizontal space, that only scales to, you know, like say, I don't, whoops, VG $sign. So 72 divided by 10. If 10 is the length of an average word, then you know you get seven results in there. And then here you get, I don't know what, 20 results.
Nice.
And then there's another thing called PUM blend.
What's that?
Oops. And it adds fake transparency to the pop-up menu. It's completely useless, but you can see how it looks transparent, and you can turn it up to 40 or something, and yeah, it's really transparent. So that's like another case of sort of like a feature that doesn't necessarily need to ever exist, but it was low-hanging fruit because after we implemented multi-grid and the UI subsystem was redesigned so that it uses compositing to build the layout. So like when you see a pop-up menu, oops, when you see a pop-up menu, that itself is a grid on top of the default grid. And now also, so that compositor allowed us also to implement floating windows. So we added this new feature that I forgot the name of. So whenever you forget the name of an API function, just go to Help API. Everything in the API in here is documented in all its glory. I'm kind of proud I'm very happy about this because I recently sort of like improved the script so that it's all like